the very constricted view of beauty that I had, I have to keep in mind it was because I was raised in a very oppressive religious culture where sexuality is actually like a taboo thing. So they're not even promoting female beauty standards based on sex appeal. They're doing it based on who's easily breakable and breedable and controllable. You can breed your wife in the Christian community. You don't even like her, and you don't even think she's attractive. It's all about fear. And I also have to keep in mind that my father was trying to mate guard us and trying to do weird shit. The way that I grew up in my view of myself and my own femininity and like sex appeal and stuff, it was warped. It's inaccurate. So when I outgrow it, it feels I feel free. I used to think I would never get out of this shit. I'm also realizing that they tell women that our sex appeal has died after 25. Because that is women. Because a lot of cultures around the world are scared of feminine sexuality. They want to guard it. They want to act like it's not real. And they want to promote this culture where young, naive women who don't even know themselves are seen as like, okay, so they give the most validation to the sectors of women who are easiest to exploit. You give attention and titles and status to women, not even because you're attracted to them more, but because they're the easiest ones who spread their legs based on validation. And men are after sex most of all, because a lot of men can't pull the kinds of women that they actually want. So they're giving them like this, the women who are easiest to get are the ones who they will then like give all the social praise to and act like they're the ideal beauty standard and all this shit, to compensate for the fact that a lot of men can't pull the actual women that they want. So they're not going to promote these kinds of women, because then you're just making men all over the world feel like shit and thinking like that's the ideal partner for you. That's the ideal female beauty standard, but you can't have it. They feel like people know on a large scale that would result in a lot of men being alcoholics, being extremely aggressive towards women, giving up on dating, and then just like not participating in society, not having any incentive to work, because the kinds of women that they truly want are out of reach, or they're you have to do too much to get them. So they encourage men who are driven by their ego a lot of the times and are dependent on validation, to then they extend this to the kinds of women that you should feel validated by being with. Like they manipulate the male ego and then make them trade in the kinds of women that they're actually attracted to for the women that the culture wants them to be with. There's an entire appeal to older women, to strong women, to big women, to intelligent women, even women who come across as masculine. But you have to be more in tune with your like primal nature. Honestly, when I look at men who think that like small, tiny, thin women are attractive, It's not going to shake when you fuck. You're not going to feel any sense of conquest. They're doing it because these women are easily controlled. Men who are shit in bed, who can't fuck, they are more so seeking sexual control and appearing bigger than they are. If you're fucking a big woman and your dick is small, or you aren't strong, or either you're into being like that, you're into feeling like the small guy, or you're gonna seek a partner who you're not necessarily attracted to on a primal level, but who you feel more powerful than. And you feel like your dick is finally big enough because you're fucking a small woman. And you feel like you can control her. And so this is the kind of shit that's encouraged in our culture. It's letting me know that in general, people feel sexually... In any culture where women, the ideal woman is a small, breedable, breakable woman, women who are not secure in themselves, who are overly competitive, who like drama and shit. It's letting me know that as a culture, those men are sexually insecure. Sexually insecure, focused on control. Probably can't fuck very good. And probably have a repressed sexuality, which makes them very bad in bed. I have to keep in mind that men see sexuality as a conquest a lot of the times. And this is true, that but I feel like I'm talking about unevolved men who don't know themselves, because I observe men who are too scared to get to know themselves, to experience different versions of themselves. They're the kinds of men who just focus on numbing, activities that numb them, like drinking, going to bars, having traditional, quote unquote, traditional relationships with easily controlled women. They're religious. They roll in packs. They can't be alone. They give off this very standard Western male. Or they're overly focused on their work, on money, on things that are used to distract you from your full self. I feel like those are the kinds of men who just like, their urge is to hit it and quit it, or to only get in a relationship with a woman who makes them feel powerful in comparison to how weak they are. And they're scared of me. I don't even think I'm scary. I actually feel very bored a lot of the times. It's interesting that you can explore a lot of your sexuality by yourself. And just because you have a lot of sex does not mean that you have have an evolved sexuality, or like something that's actually like sexually appealing. It just means that you have compulsive sex because you're hiding from yourself. You can have sex and feel numb. It won't have any erotic appeal to it. It won't hit anything really deep in you, but you do it compulsively to hide from something, because it's like the pleasure you experience won't even be the same. Even when I watched porn and I was like seeing people fuck these blonde women, it does not look pleasurable. It looks like a performance. And it looks like sometimes I can tell that these women have been fucked so much and they've been drunk most of the time that they've been fucked. They just like tap out. I feel like there's nothing wrong with my sexuality or the way that I've lived. And it's interesting how female sex appeal also has a lot to do with the aesthetic of it. It has a lot to do with, because you are sensing the person's energy frequencies as well. It has a lot to do with their whole philosophy on it, with their emotional state, how they feel about themselves, and the entire complex the entire complex dynamic that goes on in relationships. A lot of times we think that somebody is like very unique or like mysterious or attractive, when in private they're just very evolved.